Everything you believe about the color of royalty is a lie. We imagine kings draped in luxurious silks, their majesty defined by a deep, vibrant purple. But that color, the symbol of ultimate power for 3,000 years, was not born of elegance. It was born of rot, of danger, and of a profession so demanding, so perilous, it has been utterly erased from the world. A profession built on harvesting the blood of the sea itself. Imagine the world almost 3 millennia ago. The city of Tyre, a jewel of Phoenicia, shimmering on the coast of modern-day Lebanon. Its markets overflowed with cedar wood, spices, and glass. Its ships dominated the Mediterranean. Tyre was fabulously wealthy, a center of ancient power. And the source of this immense wealth wasn't gold or silver. It was a color, a specific, almost supernatural shade of purple, so rare and so vivid that it bewitched emperors and kings. A color that did not fade in the sun, but grew brighter, more intense. To wear it was to wear status itself. But this legendary dye didn't come from a rare flower or a precious mineral. It came from something far more humble and far more difficult to obtain. It came from the sea. Deep beneath the waves, clinging to the rocks and scouring the seabed, lived the Murex snails. 2 species in particular, the Bolinus brandaris and the Hexaplex trunculus. They were unremarkable creatures, predators of the seafloor, going about their slow, silent existence. They were nature's forgotten architects, their shells a testament to patient spiraling growth. To the average fisherman, they were just another shell on the beach. But to the Murex divers of Tyre, they were living treasure chests. But what terrifying secret did they carry inside their beautiful spiraled shells? This is where our lost profession begins, the Murex Snail Diver. These were not scholars or alchemists. They were men of the sea, with lungs of leather and nerves of iron. Their work began before dawn, their small wooden boats pushing out into the deep blue of the Mediterranean. They had no oxygen tanks, no complex gear. Their only tools were their bodies, a heavy stone to speed their descent, a rope, and a basket woven from reeds. They would take a deep, lung-burning breath and plunge into the abyss, descending into a world of crushing pressure and profound silence. They were searching for colonies of snails, sometimes 30 meters below the surface. It was a risk taken not for treasure, for something far stranger. Down in the cold, dim light, they would pry the stubborn snails from the rocks, their fingers raw, their time measured in the desperate pounding of their own hearts. They filled their baskets, signaled with a tug on the rope, and were hauled back to the world of air, gasping, their chests aching. They would do this again and again and again, until their boat was filled with thousands of these seemingly worthless mollusks. The dive was only the first part of their ordeal. The truly grueling work happened back on the shores of Tyre, in workshops that were infamous throughout the ancient world for one single reason: their unbelievable stench. The secret to Tyrian Purple was not just in the snail, but in a brutal, closely guarded process. Each snail, thousands upon thousands of them, had to be carefully cracked open, taking care not to crush the prize within. Inside each one was a tiny thread-like gland, the hypobranchial gland. The divers and workers would extract this minuscule sac, which contained only a single precious drop of clear, mucus-like fluid. A single drop from a single snail. But this precious fluid wasn't purple at all. So what was the secret? This is where the craft became a dark, foul-smelling art. The collected fluids, thousands of drops from thousands of snails, were placed into large stone vats. Salt was added, and the mixture was left to ferment under the relentless Mediterranean sun for 10 days. Imagine the smell, the overpowering, gag-inducing reek of thousands of rotting shellfish baking in the heat. Ancient writers said the stench was so powerful it could be smelled for miles, that the hands of the dyers were permanently stained and scented. It was the price of beauty. But the real alchemy, the part that smelled like death itself, was yet to come. After 10 days of putrefaction, the vats were heated.
The foul liquid was simmered and skimmed, slowly, painstakingly reduced. And then the magic would happen. As the mixture was exposed to sunlight and air, a stunning transformation occurred. The pale, milky fluid would shift to a pale green, then a deep violet, and finally, as if by sorcery, it would deepen into the legendary blood-red purple of Tyre, the color of emperors. It was a process of decay and rebirth, a foul alchemy that turned rot into radiance. How could such a repulsive process create the most beautiful color in the world? The sheer scale of the operation is difficult to comprehend. Historians estimate it took as many as 12,000 Murex snails to produce a single gram and a half of pure dye, just enough to trim the hem of a single Roman toga. A full imperial robe would require hundreds of thousands of snails and the lives of countless divers. This is why Tyrian Purple was, for a time, worth more than 3 times its weight in gold. Only the phenomenally wealthy, the absolute elite, could afford it. The Murex divers were not just workers, they were the engine of an industry that defined power itself. But what would happen if that supply, which seemed so endless, finally began to run out? For centuries, the divers of Tyre held the monopoly. The secret was passed down from father to son, a sacred, stinking trust. The profession thrived through the rise and fall of empires. The Romans coveted the color, making it the official hue of their senators and emperors. But empires do not last forever. The city of Tyre eventually fell. Other centers of purple production rose and fell. The final bastion of this ancient art was Constantinople. When the city was sacked in 1453, the last of the great dyeing workshops were destroyed. The secret, it is said, was lost forever. But the final nail in the coffin of this ancient profession was not a sword, but an idea. The true end came much later. For centuries, the recipe for Tyrian Purple was a ghost, a legend from a lost world. But in the 19th century, something changed. Chemistry. In 1856, a young chemist named William Henry Perkin accidentally synthesized the first artificial dye while trying to cure a cure for malaria. He called his new color mauve. It was cheap, easy to produce, and available to everyone. Suddenly, the color of kings could be worn by commoners. The exclusivity that had made Murex snails so valuable for millennia was shattered overnight by a discovery in a lab. But was the recipe truly lost, or was it simply replaced? The Murex Snail Divers were gone. Their profession, once vital to the identity of empires, had vanished. It was a job built on incredible endurance and a tolerance for the grotesque. These men lived and breathed the sea, and their legacy was a color that symbolized a power they would never know. They were the invisible artisans behind the throne, their perilous work distilled into a single potent symbol of majesty. Their profession wasn't just lost to time, it was made obsolete by progress, and perhaps by its own unsustainable nature. The massive shell mounds found near ancient Tyre tell a story of industrial-scale harvesting that may have decimated the snail populations. The divers who harvested the purple blood of kings were ultimately consumed by the very luxury they helped create, a silent, forgotten footnote in the story of power. What do you think was the hardest part of being a Murex diver? The dangerous dives or the horrifying smell of the workshops? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy uncovering the stories of these forgotten jobs, make sure to subscribe to Lost Professions for more journeys into the past.